I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and I'm addressing a question I see on a regular basis on the YouTube comments, on Twitter, on Facebook, and through all of our social networking mediums. The question is, where's Sony at in the US market, and how can they compete? They've got some awesome devices like the Xperia Z, the ZL, a bunch of awesome things coming out this year and that came out last year. Why aren't they getting the traction in the US? We'll try to figure it out in this video. So Sony's particularly interesting because when you look at their brand name, you realize the brand name has been around for quite some time. It's got quite the reputation. When you look at televisions, you look at Blu-ray players, you look at DVD players, they've got quite the reputation in the electronic space. So the question is, why hasn't the Sony brand name really resonated in the wireless market? It's a question I've asked myself for some time, and I see it on a regular basis on YouTube and on Twitter when you guys are like, why don't you really cover Sony devices? Granted, a bunch of them have come out internationally, but since PhoneDog is primarily a US-based publication, we don't typically see that many here. We've seen a couple of different devices over the years with AT&T, a bunch of different Xperia devices. Back in the Sony Ericsson days, we covered some. But what I'm hoping in 2013 is that we really see a resurgence from Sony. Whether it's the Xperia Z or the ZL on AT&T, I think there's a couple of key things Sony needs to do. First of all, and this is a big first, they need the distribution agreements that companies like Samsung and to a lesser extent HTC have with the wireless carriers in the US. You're not going to be successful in 2013 unless you get distribution across the four nationwide carriers and one super regional carrier. If you can't get distribution on something like the Sony Xperia Z or the Sony Xperia ZL across AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, and then US Cellular, it's going to be a little bit of a problem in today's wireless market. This is one of the big reasons why the Galaxy Note 2 and the Galaxy S3 are so successful in the US market. I can walk into Verizon, I can walk into AT&T, I can walk into Sprint and T-Mobile, and I can pick up the same device with the exception of a couple of different things. HSPA Plus, different color changes, and more. You can get mostly the same device on any carrier in the US, any nationwide carrier, when it comes to the Note 2 and when it comes to the Galaxy S3. So regardless of the carrier I'm on, I've got a choice to get an awesome smartphone. The problem with Sony is to date they've only worked with AT&T and they haven't picked up those distribution agreements with the exception of a few models here and there with carriers like Verizon, Sprint, and T-Mobile. They have got to get that distribution agreement line down. This is something I've criticized HTC for as well over the years. They do a great job with getting devices across the carriers, but they're always different variants. For example, the One X Plus is only on AT&T. The One S is only on T-Mobile. The One V is on US Cellular. The One SV is on Cricket. The One XL is a European device. You've got a ton of different HTC devices, all of which are great. But you know what? Let's say I want the One S, but I'm on AT&T, or I want the One X Plus, but I'm on Verizon. I don't really have that choice. I've got to make a decision on what's more important to me, carrier and network or device. And I think for a lot of people, as much as I love devices, as much of a wireless geek as I am, I love to see stuff on the carriers because, at the end of the day, it's all about which phone works where. And if I don't have Verizon service in my house or AT&T service in my house, it's not going to work. This is what Sony has got to do, and they've got to get competitive in the US when it comes to marketing. I mean, if anything, if we've learned anything from CES 2013, it's that they've got a great product. The Xperia Z and the ZL are both awesome devices with killer specifications, and they're really pulling a play area from the Samsung playbook when it comes to connected accessories. They've got a ton of different connected accessory options. They've got to market that in the US, get it on all the different carriers, and then get those accessories in the carriers' retail stores. So when I walk into Verizon, I can pick up an Xperia Z, I can pick up some NFC-based accessories or Bluetooth-based accessories, whatever the case may be, and I can walk out with a ton of different accessories. That's going to increase the brand reputation on the wireless side, and combined with the fact that they've already got a really good reputation with TVs and with DVD players and with Blu-ray players, they've really got an awesome shot. They have just got to get those carrier distribution agreements. I think the price point is really a moot point. They're right there at that $199 to $99 price point, depending on what you think with the devices we saw last year. We saw a $100 Sony device on AT&T. We've seen 199 devices in the past, $199 devices, I should say, in the past. A lot of different choices in terms of pricing. You just got to get those distribution agreements. I'm going to hammer it home until they do it. That is what they've got to do to be successful in the US market. I'd love to hear from you. I hear a lot of comments about Sony devices on PhoneDog. I would love to hear from you. Do you want to see more on PhoneDog.com? Do you think Samsung and HTC are okay? Do you think we should see more LG or more Sony or whatever the case may be in 2013? I'd love to hear from you at PhoneDog_Aaron on Twitter, Facebook at Facebook.com/PhoneDog. My page is Facebook.com/HiAaronBaker. And then, of course, on Google Plus as well at gplus.to/PhoneDog. Let me know what you think, because I'm really curious. You know, we're going into 2013. We're seeing a lot of saturation when it comes to Android. We're seeing a lot of the same stuff come out over and over again. And I'd love to hear from you as to whether you think Sony stands a fighting chance in 2013 in a pretty competitive U.S. market. Let me know on Twitter, on Facebook, or on Google Plus, and I'll do my best to answer those questions in another video in the next couple of days or next couple of weeks. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think as to whether Sony stands a fighting chance in 2013, or maybe it's too little too late in the US market and we've got our established heavyweights. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.